live stream and do the thing. Welcome back to the Behind the Food podcast, guys. Today our guest ghosted us, and no, I'm not going to shout you out on LinkedIn, but I was tempted to. Don't ghost me again. Um, Good, lucky for you guys though. Today, instead, you get to listen to me and Daniel
That's right.
science it up,
Yep.
give our stupid takes about
Yep.
what's happening in the world.
Yep.
There's a lot happening. We got
There is a
so
lot.
much going on.
Yeah.
But we're going to try to keep it specific to food and beverage and business, entrepreneurship, the things that we talk about the most. Daniel, to start us off, our first topic of the day, our boy, the GOAT, the legend, the greatest Fed chair of all time, Jerome Powell, decided to issue a statement.
Very
that he's
uncharacteristic.
it was very uncharacteristic. The most boring man in the universe decided to issue a statement that he's being, I guess, blackmailed, for lack of a better term, by the White House. What are your thoughts on like everything that's going down right now
hmm
in like that realm of finance? Because it
Okay.
affects all of us.
It does. It really does. So when you look at other countries that have fucked with their central bank, right, and screwed with its independence, it almost always leads to hyperinflation, which is the last thing we need right now, right? I mean, that would just be nail in the coffin. So I don't see how we're any different in that respect, right? Like if you just push interest rates down to 1 or 2%, like game over, right? We're done.
I mean, might we be like in an even worse position than those countries were? Because like if you
hmm
think about it,
Yep.
we're so deeply tied to the global economy and the
Yeah.
petrodollar, so like the
Yeah.
trade of oil in general, that you can really jack up the whole earth
Or
if you
just,
mess with our central bank.
or if you just think about like how the whole world runs on T-bills, right? So like if the yield on those shoots up because investors don't trust our financial system anymore, that makes really difficult to finance government spending at a time when it's already pretty tough to finance government spending. And that could cause, like people think we can't become Greece, like austerity can't happen here. Like it can. And we need to stop this or it will happen.
Yeah, and I think austerity happening in a nation like the United States right now would be very bad. I,
hmm
I was fascinated by the GDP numbers from last year, which kind of ties to this subject, but GDP in the fourth quarter was very high, like a very high growth rate. It's all government spending.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm just like, dude, we've got to stop.
Yep.
This is
Yep.
crazy.
Yeah.
All the job growth, all of the economic growth in general, just in general, all of the activity happening is the federal government, which
Yeah.
is insane.
It is insane. Especially when you think about, S&P and you strip out, Mag 7 AI type companies out of there, you're left with flat, like zero growth. It's like that means that basically if you're not in AI or government, you're basically either treading water or regressing. So that's a really sobering thought for the rest of the economy because guess what? Both AI and the government rely on the rest of the economy to exist, right? So if you don't have, you know, other industries buying AI products, right? Actually buying the intelligence, buying the use, it falls apart. If you
And it's
don't
also
have,
not big enough to prop up the economy, if we're
it's
being
not.
honest. That's why the job growth was so bad. And in general, the growth outside of like government was just not, it doesn't exist. Like we lost
Yeah,
manufacturing jobs all year. I sent
which
you
is
that
insane.
chart.
Yeah,
It's another chart that kind of ties into this, which is that like, hey, ever since the tariffs were announced and began to go into effect, we've consistently net lost manufacturing jobs every single month, all of 2025. And I think that just goes to show like there's a disconnect between like monetary policy and financial policy in this
hmm
country right now.
hmm
And there's also a disconnect in like what will actually work or what we're even trying to do. When you are running a company and everybody's going in different directions, generally that means you're going to go bankrupt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was thinking about this too the other day. People assumed when tariffs kicked in at first that the net effect would be inflation. And so I looked at some like really long-term studies that came out of the Fed about this. And what it showed was that you don't pay for tariffs necessarily in inflation, broadly speaking. You pay for it in lost growth, right? And I think that's exactly what you're seeing with the loss in manufacturing jobs when you're seeing the economy starting to stall, is we're paying for the tariffs in lost economic growth.
Yeah, because people like, I mean, our economy is 70% consumer spending. Even though I say like government spending is like all this giant thing,
Right,
the economy in general is
right,
still, I mean, maybe not now, maybe it's 60% now.
right, right, right,
But
right.
for the most part in America, it's mostly consumer spending, and so I can see how there would be lost growth because you won't buy as many things when prices are higher.
Even
That's
down to
pretty
like,
simple.
even down to things like, okay, so if you're buying, you know, the things you need to build a factory, a lot of them come from overseas. Like, the manufacturing robots come from China,
Yeah.
right? Now they cost more because they're tariffed, right? So all of a sudden that means less factories get built. So it's this like snake eating its tail kind of thing happening here.
Yeah, it's not good. I mean, my at first glance, like when I take all this information in and then I see Jerome Powell's statement yesterday, um, it was a very short statement. I have the Federal Reserve
Which was
website pulled
smart.
up so I can see it.
He was smart
They
not to
like
rant for an hour.
they wrote it out. Yeah, I mean, there's some people that like to rant, and then there's other people that, they get to the get straight to the fucking point. It's a dichotomy in this country. The thing that I found fascinating is he just kind of made it clear what was happening. He was like, the new threat's not really about my testimony or the renovation of the buildings, which, by the way, did you see the video of him and Trump standing next to each other? And he's like, this is how much it's cost. And he was like, let me see those documents.
Like, no.
No, this isn't how much it cost. And I'm just like, how many other people in the world in general are willing to just sit there with a straight face?
Yeah.
He doesn't get angry. He doesn't
Yeah.
get like upset. He doesn't necessarily do anything. He's just like, yeah, you're wrong.
You're just flat
The
out
way
wrong,
that
bro.
he's able to just like sit there and be like, no, this is the way things are. Like, and you also have to imagine the level of don't give a fuck for Jerome Powell to make a statement like this saying basically like, hey, this isn't about any of the other things. It's about the fact that I won't lower interest rates. And by the way, I'm just doing what I think is best for the economy. He's trying to make sure we don't go back into like extreme inflation. And he has a really difficult job in general. And on top of all of that information that I just gave you, Donald Trump's who put him there.
Exactly. Donald Trump appointed this guy.
And
And
the
he was
very
reappointed by Biden, which means the guy is
he
fairly
has
nonpartisan.
bipartisan support. He's not a dumb dude. And
Yeah.
also, Jerome Powell could be at a bank right now making $30 million
So
a
much money.
year.
Yeah.
Instead, his ass is sitting in the Federal Reserve getting shit on.
By
I want
Trump
people
every
to
day.
understand, like, you can think what you think about the central bank. I have thoughts about it in general. I know a lot of my libertarian friends don't like the central bank. That's great. I love that. That has nothing to do with Jerome Powell. Jerome
Right.
Powell as a person is doing a pretty great job. It seems that he's not really guided by politics. He's just been really slow to react. But if you look at the way our economy's performed, I don't know, like it could have been much worse.
Oh, yeah.
Like way
Look at the
worse.
rest of the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Like comparatively
economically,
over the same amount
COVID
of time.
wrecked everything.
Yep.
And to combat the stimulus and everything that happened, I don't know, man. Like he's got to do something. To
Yeah.
like
I mean, you look
keep
at
interest
our,
rates high.
yeah, you look at our outcomes post COVID versus the rest of the world, it was about the best you could possibly ask for. And a lot of that can be attributed to Powell. I have reservations about the um, responsiveness, right? You said like sometimes he's a little slow to react. I think that's a problem.
Yeah. Like he
But
was
I
slow
don't
when the inflation started, dude. At one point he
exactly.
was like, it's transitory.
Right.
And you're just like,
And I think
Jay
he
Powell,
thought
what are
that
we
at the
talking
time.
about?
Right.
Maybe he thought that, but it turns out that like 80%, I may be misquoting this, it might be 85%, a very vast majority of the money that was given out in stimulus to bail out the economy, not the banks, not a specific industry, but the economy as a whole because of COVID, wasn't spent.
Hmm.
It was invested into assets. That only does one. Everyone knows what happens when you do that.
Right.
He has no
Oof.
option. But like I mean I can forgive him a little bit, I guess, for thinking like, well, maybe people will actually spend this money.
Sure.
Um, but that's not what happened.
Yeah.
And so then you got to combat the inflation that is bound to occur
Right.
with a supply chain
Right.
crunch
Combined
and
with a
shit
bunch of
tons of
liquidity.
cash.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like any economist, in fact, all of them said this would happen.
Yeah. I used to say the statement a lot after the Great Recession. Now I was a child, so like again, this is me saying this in like 2014, 2015. Because I wasn't, I wasn't an adult in 2008. Um, I used to think like, you know, at what point do we print too much money where like you actually create inflation? So like I had this like thought exercise that like I would talk about with people, which was if I handed every single person in America $1 million, is $1 million really $1 million anymore?
Right. No, it's not.
What if I make it $100,000?
Yep.
What if it's 10?
Right.
There's an inflection point. I don't know
Yeah.
where it is, and nobody really
Right.
knew where it was. Clearly, we found it.
Right.
You
Right.
know,
Dollars to individuals ratio got thrown off.
yeah. I mean, like
Yeah.
we handed out enough money to cause extreme inflation, and now we're kind of left with the mess of it. And the sad reality is that the Fed is one of the few institutions, and Jerome Powell is probably one of the few people in Washington that thinks longer than like a 18-month time horizon.
Yeah. Right.
And
That's the
so like
problem right now.
it is, man. We don't care about like the longevity of the economic system. We don't care about how entrepreneurs are going to do. I mean, because we can talk about how this affects entrepreneurs like me and you for a minute. Like
Oh, yeah.
you can either deal with high rates and the inflation and supply chain stuff starts to like ease. I actually prefer that as a consumer entrepreneur. I didn't like the tariffs, obviously. I'm a big fan of the overspending. I'm still not a fan of the deficit spending. Every time the government has to borrow money from the market, they are stealing money from the private sector. Because there's a limited amount of money. I know we keep printing more, but like in theory, there's a limited supply of dollars. Those dollars keep going to the federal government. They're not going to like, I don't know, the next startup that might need them. And on top of that, you have a system in which we just continue to make it harder and harder to get capital as a small business or an
Yep.
entrepreneur,
Right.
and easier for the federal government to spend frivolously
Yep.
and drive this country into wherever the heck it's going. I'm not really sure. And it's something that takes some time to think about because it's way longer than a presidential term.
Right.
It's way longer than 2 terms. It's
Yeah.
like, hey, you kind of have to think about what's going to happen in like 2040. And that's not political. That's just, the direction of the general economy. But yeah, I mean, on the flip side of it, yeah, high interest rates have sucked. I mean, if rates went down, my SBA loans would all be like significantly cheaper, like
Oh, yeah.
noticeably
Right. Well,
cheaper.
it's not just that. I mean, I've also noticed this as interest rates climbed, it wasn't just that the service on your debt got more expensive. The available credit dried up as the interest rates went up. Like it broke certain financial products, right? Completely. And you just didn't have access to them.
Yeah.
And it's like that was tricky because you saw like credit lines at banks just vanish, right? Like trade lines.
Yeah, I mean, you
Just,
don't necessarily have to have a trade line. They don't have to grant you credit. They can take it away at
yeah.
any time.
Yeah.
If you're not
It got too
using it,
expensive.
which, yeah, when most people like me or you, like you may not be using it, it may be sitting,
Right.
and then one day it just disappears,
Yep.
which has happened to both of us.
Yeah.
And I'd love to hear if it's happened to anyone else out there. You should comment below.
I'm
We can,
100% certain it
I'll
has.
talk about it,
Right.
because it is
We need to
something
talk
that,
about it.
yeah, and it's been a struggle. Access to capital in general is a struggle under a high interest rate environment, but you got to remember that like that is the lesser of two evils. And by printing all the money that we printed, which is not an interest rate issue, it's not a Fed issue,
Nope.
it's not
That was
an
a pure policy
entrepreneur
issue.
issue. Yeah, it's a fiscal policy issue from the federal government and or I guess central governments around the world.
Right. Everyone did
But
it. Yeah.
it's not something that any of us could have prevented. Now we have to deal with it.
Exactly.
Anyways, closing statements. Do you have any other thoughts on Jerome Powell and his ballsy statement?
I hope that he keeps standing up to Trump because it feels like no one else is right now.
Yeah, that's how I feel. He's got to be like, honestly, he's turning himself into one of the most powerful people in the world by just being like, no, I'm do whatever the fuck I want. I'm
Yeah.
not leaving. All right, cool. Moving on. Other topics in business news this week. I wanted to touch on this real quick 'cause it's not really business news, but it's tangential to I think what me and you have been kind of working on over the last year. A lot of other entrepreneurs have been working on. The idea of being founder led. You like go out on social media, you build a presence, you have a podcast, maybe if you have something to say, um, and you try to not let it take away from your work. But the goal being like, if you build in public and you build an audience on here, on LinkedIn, somewhere else, it can be really powerful. There's this kid that I've been really impressed by, and I think a lot of people have very like mixed feelings on. His name's Daniel Greenberg,
Yeah.
and Daniel launched a podcast after graduating from college. Daniel, by the way, I mean like I say like yeah, this kid was like basically he's a child, but like I'm like oh yeah, he just graduated from college. He graduated from Brown, so props. You went to an Ivy League school. Some people may think that's not a good thing. I, on the other hand, respect. He launched a podcast that I thought was really cool, and then he got on LinkedIn and started doing just these wild posts where he's basically like, "Do this, don't do this," and he highlights people's headline and tells them to change their headline.
Right.
And when I originally saw his post, the first one ever, I trolled it, and I got a lot of likes for trolling it. I'm a whore for impressions too, everybody.
Yeah.
But I found it offensive in the moment because I didn't really understand the humor of it. And then I started to follow him, and I started to like follow the posts, and I was like, okay, these huge influencers on LinkedIn, these huge entrepreneurs, are listening to this kid,
Yeah.
and they're like changing their headlines, and they're also interacting with him and engaging.
Yeah.
He's gaining followers. He's gaining
Yeah.
followers really really fast. I was like, that's really weird, but good for him. And then he passed me up in followers last month, and I was like, oh shit,
Yeah.
this kid's doing it.
Yeah.
And he has this podcast called Connection Accepted. I thought it was really cool. He thinks LinkedIn is the next TikTok.
I saw that. I
I
saw
don't.
his tagline there. I don't think that's the case.
Yeah, I don't think it's the case either. But I do. I like his style, and I had the chance to talk to him. And he told me that he had a business when he was in high school blow up on TikTok because of TikTok.
Yeah.
And
Interesting.
he was just like, I started seeing. He's like, I got on here, obviously a senior in college. The job market's a thing. You get on LinkedIn, you look for your first job, and he was like, I was curious like how it was like becoming like a social platform. It's very interesting. People were building audiences. There were influencers, um, and so he just started posting.
Yep.
Anyways, I find it fascinating that all these entrepreneurs I know struggle with the idea of like getting out there, posting, doing their thing, building an audience. And this kid is 22. He has nothing to his name, no
Right.
experience,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Daniel, if you listen to this, dude, I'm sorry, but like you don't have any experience. I think that's cool, but like it's the reality. I love that he's able to do this. Um, anyways, I'd love to get your thoughts on it, but also your thoughts around like why so many actual founders struggling to build a personal brand when like this kid was like, fine, fuck it, I'll send it, and he just
Yeah.
went for it and did it.
Yeah. So there's two things here, I think. One, this kid clearly knows how to work algorithms effectively, right? Not many founders are actually good at that. So what do you do if you're a founder and you're trying to create a company where it's a founder-led brand? You suck at building personal brand. How do you get around the fact that, oh, I just suck at the actual task of content creation? And I think it's what Gary Vee says, which is just document everything, right? So don't worry about creating content separate from your day job. Just have the cameras rolling all the time. And I know that seems impossible, but there's ways to do it. And then what happens is you realize that the content is there. It's in your everyday life. It's the highlight reel of everything you're doing, right? That's one way to do it. This kid understands the other way, which is like actually create content the algorithm likes because he doesn't have that yet.
Yeah, but to your point, man, it makes it so easy to have shit tons of content when you are actively doing something all the time that generates its own content. We talked to Mary on our first episode, and Ronies generates all of their, well, the majority of their social content in their stores.
Yeah, at the
Like
bottom.
in their restaurants, they're doing the thing on the line. They're doing like the TikTok video. And I'm like, that that's obviously a flywheel of like infinite content in a day and age where like you kind of need that. Um,
The other
I
thing I
think
was going
people
to
need
say
to
to
just
that.
not be scared.
Yeah, yeah. The other thing I wanted to say about that was every conceivable industry now is going to need a social presence, whether you like it or not. There's this girl here in Nashville. I think she just moved to San Francisco, Nicole Wiskoff. She is a venture capitalist. She creates VC funds and she manages them. And she has started feeds where she just talks about her day to day as a venture capitalist, like raw and real. I'm 8 months pregnant and I need to read these term sheets and I don't feel like it, right? That's not something we've really seen before, where like we're peeling back the layers in a new way, especially around VC. That's been kind of a thing that we haven't really seen content created around before.
I mean, like to your point though, around every industry, even if it doesn't forward you as a founder, like even if it doesn't help you get like more impressions today or more business today, it will help you get more business tomorrow. And then also, on a side note, it helps you can start to build an audience of other people in the space or other people
Yes.
that want to be in the space. And when
Yeah.
they
You
come
don't
to
know
you
what
for
those connections are going
advice,
to be. Yeah.
yeah, you don't really know, but it continues to make you like a center of influence. And I think that
Hmm.
that in and of itself is worth something. I don't really know what it can be worth for each individual industry.
Right.
I'm not there. And some it may be like less than others. If you have a company that like does landscaping though, I imagine having a killer social presence is like awesome. If you have a
Totally.
consumer company, awesome. A food truck,
Right.
awesome. Like
Right.
even a SaaS company, probably kind of awesome. Because
I find that as we go through time, the amount of industries in which having a social presence helps, the amount of industries that having a social presence doesn't help shrinks, right? So over time, we're peeling back the curtains and we're looking behind the scenes at more and more things because the algorithm needs new, right? And seeing something that no one's seen before, right, in an industry that's never been exposed to the masses is new. And the algorithm likes new. So what happens is you end up with people like Nicole, who's peeling back the day to day of like, I just met with this family fund and this fund of fund, and oh, I sucked. I just, I whiffed the pitch, right? No one talks about the like emotional connection of like the human aspect of these kinds of things because it's always been term sheets and pitches and like no, but like there's human beings behind this and they're struggling. Like no one thinks of VCs as human beings, right? So it's like there's a lot more of this out there. There's a lot more industries that I think we can still peel back the curtain of and see behind the curtain a little bit, and it'll be really cool for social in general.
yeah, it's also really cool just to inspire like other people who are coming up to like
Absolutely,
try to do the same thing as you. And
exactly.
people may be like, well, why would you want to do that? But dude, like that's just paying it forward in general.
Yeah,
It's kind of a nice thing to do.
yeah. Well, go Daniel, you're killing it.
Yeah.
From another
I think
Daniel.
he's killing it too. I'm pumped from another Daniel. It's always from a
Yeah.
Daniel. All right, man. Well, another topic that is near and dear to my heart and your heart, restaurant traffic. Restaurant traffic was down every single month except what month
July.
was this? July. July.
Yeah.
July it was flat. 2024 to 25. I'm fascinated by that. I'm also kind of not
Yeah.
surprised.
Totally.
Um, what is your read on the fact that like I guess eating out traffic has just been down so much. Like from two people like in the food space, it's like I I actually got hit with this trend in 2024.
Yeah.
Was when it
Early.
started for me. And so like my sales at my shop shops were actually slightly up in 2025. Maybe it was because we increased prices a little bit. But it seems like I have to go back and look at our traffic numbers, but our traffic was
Right.
pretty flat. Our traffic was down a lot from 23 to 24, like not as many customers at all. And I think this is a trend that continues just because of inflation, but I'd love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah. So
What do you think?
I talked to a buddy of mine that owns a or co-owns a hospitality group here in Nashville. A lot of high-end restaurants, you recognize them. And I asked them, "Hey, how are things? Like, what's going on in the fine dining space, right?" And what he told me is that pretty much everyone in fine dining right now is down about 20%, and this was last year, right? So that jives with these numbers. So the impact uh, is way disproportionate, right? If you have a fine dining space, you were crushed last year. And the conventional wisdom has always been that QSR thrives when the economy's down, right? So your Chipotle's, your whatever, all the QSRs, right? Because they're lower price point, you can eat them more often. That they would be the ones that would not be affected. In fact, people would trade down to them, and that they would then go up. But what we saw was all the QSRs dropped too at the same time, which is really, really. I don't exactly know what to make of it, but I don't know exactly what it means yet. I think it means that consumers are just hurting that much that they just don't have the discretionary income.
That's what I think, and I think there are other takes. I had a comment on one of my posts Let me pull up the post. So I posted this and I had a lady comment that it also could be because restaurants are underestimating the amount of people that are trying to eat healthier or have like food allergies. And I was just like, I just don't buy that.
I don't
I
either.
really don't.
No, because
That's why
here,
traffic is down 20%.
yeah, and here's why I don't think that's the case. Restaurants have gotten far better at accommodating than they were before. Like you go to any restaurant now, there's a non-alc menu for your people that don't drink, right? There's fantastic mocktails. There's non-alc options. There are gluten-free options on almost every menu now. There's vegan options on almost every menu now. So I know it's not everywhere, but everyone's putting forth some effort here.
It feels like most people put forth extreme effort. I went to a really nice restaurant on Saturday, on a double date here in Bozeman, and it's called Feast. I stopped drinking for 2026. Most people know that. I still like to drink something, and the amount of non-alcoholic stuff on their menu was shocking.
Oh yeah,
I was like, this is insane. Like
yeah,
four different craft beers, non-alcoholic wine,
yeah. The non-alc wines are
non-alcoholic
really interesting.
obviously non-alc cocktails like mocktails,
Yeah,
but like it
non-alc
is,
spirits even.
yeah, non-alc spirits. I've gotten Instagram ads now because, I told everyone I'm not drinking. So I told
Right.
Instagram,
Yeah,
and Instagram decided to serve me with non-alcoholic whiskey. And I
yeah.
was like, I don't want that.
Right.
But cool. I'm glad that someone did it. Maybe it'll work. I don't know.
I went to Bad Idea and they had a non-alc wine, and I don't drink at all, so I've never really had wine. And I thought, damn, this is delicious. So it's a good thing I don't drink because I'd probably be a really good one if I like the flavor of wine, right?
You might come around to wine, dude. If we
Nah,
we get some wine in you,
I'm
you're
gonna try
like,
my best not to.
this is good. This could be
I,
good.
I have I have enough vices in my life without alcohol. I'm trying my best.
Yeah, you gotta chill out on the drugs, Daniel.
I
Stop
know
stop doing that. You just gotta stop.
PEDs, man. Yeah,
The PEDs, the crack cocaine, like all
yeah,
this stuff. Just stop it.
I know.
Anyways, that's actually a really good transition to like another subject I wanted to talk about, which is the non-alc movement. It has been fascinating. The first year that I decided to be sober, um, I was sober for 6 months in 2023. And in 2023, it wasn't really a lot of options. I mean, Athletic Brewing existed. They didn't have
Hmm.
as many SKUs as they have today. Um, and there were a couple others, like one or two other breweries that were making non-alcoholic beer that wasn't like shit. Um, and there was a little bit of a movement. You fast forward 3 years to today, it is insane how popular athletic brewing is, and absolutely bananas how many people are not drinking. It's like noticeable in the data.
Yeah,
Like the fact that the data is people are drinking less and less and less. Apparently, our generation, mine and yours, is peak drinking. Like we're peak
yeah,
alcohol.
absolutely.
I don't know what that says about us, but that's what we are.
So it means we had a great college experience, is what it means. And I think we were the last ones to have it because you look at like Gen Z, most of them, they're pretty sober and they're not partying. And I actually think it's a bad thing. I don't think it's a good thing. As coming from somebody who's lifelong sober, I'm not opposed to the idea of being social and going out and drinking even. In moderation, it's great. I have no problem with it. But I do think that the proxy of this or the ancillary is Gen Z is not going out and they're not getting to experience being social and clubbing and anything like that. And I think that's actually a really bad thing. I don't think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I was I was never it was always hard for me once I stopped drinking the first time to say like, well, why would I drink again? And then I found reasons, obviously.
Right.
But the main reason for me was always like I like to drink at like social gatherings with my friends and not get like drunk, belligerently drunk. I haven't done that in a very long
Just have a
time.
good time.
Maybe I should try it sometime. Maybe that would have made it easier to be sober. But no, getting like a couple beers or like a bottle of wine with your friends isn't bad, especially if it means like socializing and like
Yeah.
having a good time.
Yeah.
And I do see what you're talking about, like out and about in the world. It is anecdotal. I
No,
don't
there's
like have
data. I don't
proof.
have it off the top of my head,
Oh,
but there's data.
there's definitely data.
Yeah.
But just like anecdotally, just walking around out and about the world, the bars here in Bozeman and like a lot of the like college everything's like kind of built around MSU, like Montana State. So you'd think there'd be more partying going on, right?
And there's
Like
not.
Montana State seems like a school where people would, rage. No,
No,
like not really. I mean,
no.
there's people in the bars on
Yeah.
Saturday, like for sure. They're not partying like I would have assumed they would party, and maybe that's just because it's 20 years later.
It's
And
also
like
really expensive.
I'm sure, yeah, it's like when you think about it, it's like, yeah, they're not trying to like spend all their money drinking or like going out. Like that's crazy. I
It
mean,
was a
you're the
lot more
generation
affordable.
they're experiencing something that we've never even kind of considered, which is
Yeah, I
like
feel really bad
when
for
we
them.
were when we were that age, I could go out to a bar and somehow afford to like get some drinks and
Totally.
like pay my rent when I came home and like everything's fine. Granted, my rent in Nashville is like $800 a month.
Yep. You could go out to the bars for $50
Yeah,
if you're
which is
smart.
crazy. Now,
Yeah.
now
$50 gets
man,
you two
like
drinks.
yeah, I was like, you can spend $50 and get like two drinks somehow. It is interesting to see how things have changed and developed. I don't know. I think it's a net positive if people would learn how to be a little bit more like you.
There's definitely a world in which this all ends up being a good thing, um, as long as it doesn't trend towards the idea of alcohol being the new cigarettes, right? And I think that's
Mm.
where this may be headed, right? So if we think of it in terms of like any amount of alcohol is a negative, um, I think that could actually be bad for society. I
I
do
mean,
think
technically
that
for your health, I
the
think
numbers,
it's
yeah,
two drink. Isn't it like two drinks a week?
yeah, it's super low,
That
right?
was that was on Andrew, yeah, Andrew Huberman's who said that.
Yeah,
That's not a lot.
no,
I mean, you could go out once a week and have two beers. I don't know, but like, and according to him, have them in the middle of the day because they really mess with your sleep.
oh yeah, they do.
And I've seen it mess with my sleep. So
The data's
yeah, I
there.
mean,
I mean, it's the question is,
it's
does it
it's
move the needle?
yeah, I don't know, man. And I sit here and think about it a lot, and I'm like, Utah seems like a very happy place. A lot of people are sober. Mormons
Sure.
don't drink.
Yeah.
I just
They
I
also
just
don't have
don't know
any
if like
coffee. I think that's yeah. They need coffee.
that's weird. Yeah, like they don't have any coffee. They are really nice people though.
Yeah. You know what
But
they do though?
we what?
They consume sodas at some like I've never seen people drink more soda than these people. Like it's
Yeah,
insane.
they're all getting diabetes.
Literally.
Everyone's dying. Everyone's definitely getting
And
diabetes. Yeah,
I'll
I've
bet
seen
you
the soda.
money. I'll bet you money if you look at like their sugar intake versus like the average person's sugar intake and instead alcohol, like I bet you the sugar's worse. Like there's no way it's not.
Probably, yeah, it's probably why they have all the same health problems we do. They traded out. They traded
Yeah.
one vice for
They swipe
another.
one vice for another. Yeah.
Personally, I wish that people would just pivot to cannabis,
Hmm.
but
You know what? It's a
doesn't
good
seem to be
point.
happening. I mean,
Actually,
big alcohol lobbied and they got their way, and
yeah, I
the
was going to say,
same
I think
senator that passed it repealed it, which is
I was going to say
fascinating
that like
because
it was happening. Like it was, people were swapping cannabis for alcohol. And then they said, the alcohol industry said, fuck that. We don't want them touching our money. And yeah,
wild, man. Even though they can make the acquisitions, I mean, they should. They should
yeah, they should just buy
honestly
them.
push for legalization, make the acquisitions. I mean, my friends
Yeah.
out there, like Breeze, the guys down in, I think they're in Florida, Cali Sober,
Yep.
based out of Texas and Tennessee, and then
Alex with Gold
all of the
Spectrum.
other ones. Alex has great products, but the problem I think is that there's just so much ambiguity, and now it's going to be illegal next year. So it's hard to trade out for something that in theory would probably be healthier for people. I'm not
Totally.
saying that cannabis is healthy.
Sure.
I'm saying it's healthier because
Right.
it's not a poison. We don't have long-term research on what it does to the brain, but
Right. Definitely don't smoke it young.
yeah, you probably shouldn't smoke it at all because, lung
Yeah.
cancer. But everyone's gonna die for something, I guess. I'm just one of those people that's like, why would you do something that's gonna kill you? Please
Right.
don't. Yeah, man, it's weird. It's weird that people aren't drinking. It's a weird dichotomy.
Yeah. People I know that own bars, they said this year was really, it wasn't bad, but it was odd. It wasn't normal. Like this year was not normal. They noticed some declining foot traffic, but it wasn't even, right? There were some bars that were up, some that were down.
No.
Some of the newer bars had trouble attracting people, which is unusual because normally with a new bar, you get that hit. People are checking out the new spot, right? Um, yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
All right, man. Well, final topic that we can go over. What are your like? So this is actually an interesting question. I've been thinking about this a lot lately. I still haven't filled out my end of year review.
Yeah,
Shout out to Modern Wisdom, Chris Williamson. I've been filling that out for like 4 years. At the end of the year, it's really cool to track. But your thoughts like change, I guess, like on like business in general, like how to
yeah,
scale, what you're gonna do, what your plans are.
right.
What has changed for you guys from the beginning of 2024 to the beginning of, or I mean, beginning of 2025? Oh my God, I forgot what year it is. To the
Yeah.
beginning of 2026. How are you doing things differently this year than you decided to do them in 2025? Or have you changed
Yeah.
to nothing?
No, we've definitely changed things. I mean, so, we're primarily a food truck brand at the moment, and we're trying to get less and less reliant on traditional food truck business over time. Not because there's necessarily any slowdown in the industry per se, although there might be, but more because it's really hard to build your business when you're that reliant on event producers and promoters. And when they're jacking up your fees to be at events every year, they're increasing insurance requirements, they're making load-in windows tighter, they're just being more extractive, right? It makes it difficult for you to kind of control your own destiny more. So I've kind of started to rethink. I was like, fish in the barrel was always my strategy, right? Go to events, thousands of people, spend 20% to be there, up the menu price, and let's go. But now it's 30 and 40%. And so that's not working anymore. So what I'm thinking more and more is I need to find ways to diversify out of this. So that's looking like more and more wholesale. That's looking like more manufacturing. That's looking like more fixed location, right? Or retail, right? It's less about being mobile and event based. And catering, private catering is never going to go away. That's bread and butter, right? But I do think that the festival and event space is starting to become more and more difficult for traditional food trucking to exist in, because your food costs are now having to be so much lower in order to absorb that big hit on your top line, right? So I'd say the biggest the biggest change I'm making this year is just trying to become less and less dependent on big festivals and events to keep the top line coming in.
That makes so much sense. I mean, you've told me that in private before, but like it's definitely, I think, a headwind in general in the industry is that people are squeezing you guys at the events and they're probably squeezing other vendors as
They are.
well. And
They
that's
are.
going to change the landscape of like what a music festival probably looks like in
It's going to
5
break at
years.
some point. Yeah.
It will definitely break. And in theory, like, free market, like it'll come
It'll
back around.
correct. You know what I think the
Yeah.
fix is?
What?
People have to pay more for streaming. That's what fixes it.
Yeah, maybe. I think the one of the other problems is just like the lack of live events that draw people. Because when you think about it, like it's supply and demand, like the price just keeps going up, but
Right.
people keep paying it. And you have
Right.
to wonder like why do people want to go to Coachella so bad? Like why do they want to go to what is that festival that you guys do every year in Nashville?
Oh yeah.
Can't
Deep
think of the name of
Tropics.
one. Yeah, why do people want to go to Deep Tropics? Like why do they keep paying more for ticket? Why is it awesome? And it's like really probably just because they can't get that outside of it. Like there's just
Hmm.
no competition, not enough
Right.
competition.
Right.
And that just puts you in a spot where like not only you, the food trucks, but also the people attending the event, like just have to pay more. Um, Curious, what are your thoughts on the pizza truck? 1 year after starting a pizza brand,
Your question.
what are your thoughts on pizza?
So
How have your thoughts changed
yeah,
after the first year of operation?
definitely. I think pizza is awesome. I think it's a great business to be in. Maybe less so if you're trying to compete directly with your, Domino, Pizza Hut, Papa John's, those guys, right? Don't compete directly with those guys. That's ridiculous. You never want to. You'll lose every time. But if you're doing anything that's outside of that, so if you're like someone doing traditional Neapolitan pies and a nice fine dining experience, or you're somebody doing Detroit style like Emmy Squared, there's a lot of blue water here. And in fact, I would say that consumers are actually trading up in pizza over time, not down, which seems counterintuitive because they're trading down everywhere else. So why are they trading up when it comes to pizza? I think it has a lot to do with like GLP-1s, right? They have less caloric budget to spend on things like carbohydrates, and so they're more willing to spend a little more for a phenomenal pizza, right? That they're going to eat less often. So
I
I think it's a
totally
direct
agree
effect
with
of
you on that.
GLPs. Yeah,
I totally agree with you on that, and I think I mean I know you said not everywhere, but I think it's almost everywhere. It's not, maybe it's not noticeable in like the revenue numbers, the traffic numbers, but it's noticeable anecdotally when you walk around, you ask people like, what do you like to, where do you like to go eat? What restaurants are your favorite? Um, it seems that the quality, like just the
threshold.
bottom bucket threshold like continues to rise, especially among our generation. I think as millennials have gotten older and older, you can't buy a house.
Right.
Most of us can't buy houses apparently. Can't get married. Can't. It's just all these other reasons why people are just like fuck it, we ball. At best,
Exactly.
just like
That's
we're
it.
going to the nicest restaurant we can because what's $300 when I'm supposed to save $30,000 for a down payment on a two
Yeah.
bedroom house.
Let us eat and drink
It's
for
like,
tomorrow we die.
yeah, basically
Yeah.
that. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of fascinating, but I think, yeah, there's not much
Yeah.
else going on. Like that seems to be the thing that's probably happening.
Yeah. And I think as GLPs continue to accelerate in adoption, it's just going to drive the trend where all of a sudden you're going to start to see really, really, really high quality food, which I think is a great thing. I think that's a fantastic thing.
Yeah, I agree with you. It also raises the bar on restaurateurs. Like you
Hmm.
gotta show up, you gotta do something really cool. You can't just do some like random
Right.
run of the mill thing, buy all my food from Cisco out of the bag and just put together like a bullshit concept. It's like I don't want to do that. I actually
Absolutely.
rather I had a friend of mine tell me this, and I've seen it on LinkedIn as well. Like many people say this. Like I don't really want to go to a steakhouse anymore because it's boring. I
Yeah.
can just go to Costco and buy like one of my friends is like I go to the local butcher, buy whatever cut of meat I want, prepare it at home however I want, and it's probably as good if not better, and it's like a fourth of the price.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
steakhouses are just kind of like you can, the fact that you can prepare that food in your home just continues to devalue what they're doing, whereas
Absolutely.
like someone like you who's making a like wood fired
Yeah.
like
And
Italian Neapolitan pizza. Like I'm not doing that at my house.
well,
I
it's funny you
can't.
mentioned
I
that because
can't do it unless
yeah.
I have an uni.
Right. Well, the thing is, I thought, oh, this expansion of these ovens is going to, crush Neapolitan pizza. And the funny thing is, it's had the opposite effect because it's like it takes 48 hours minimum to make the dough. No one's starting 48 hours in advance to do this stuff,
No.
right? And it's really freaking hard. Like this is hundreds of reps to get good at it. So it's like
Yeah, so
the learning curve is not there.
yeah, you're getting into an area that like other people just simply won't. They won't attempt to do that at their house. That's actually why I love going out for good pizza. And whenever I go out to a restaurant, I try to pick something where it's like I'll be able to get a ding on this menu that I simply just won't make at my home. Like, um, I find seafood to be a thing that like I don't want to prepare at home because it's hard to source.
Absolutely. Right.
And like the restaurant we went to this weekend was a seafood place. I had like sushi grade salmon, like everything like from the
So good.
sauce to the sides were things that I not make. I could probably pull off. Um, I cook way more than other people do, so I'm saying probably, and it would take me like 2 hour learning curve, and then I gotta make all of it, and it's not gonna come out as good. That's a cool experience. I pay for that
Yeah.
for sure, right? Pay
Yeah.
for that. Someone will pay for
People will
you
pay
to,
for experiences.
yeah, 48 hours of dough proofing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's 100,000% going to be paid for. Like that's just hard to do.
Right. 48 hours minimum. That's the low end, right? It's like I go up to 72 and like, yeah, there's no way. And I do think you'll start to see more ancillary businesses in pizza. Like you'll see people starting to sell dough so that these people that have these home ovens can, hey, maybe I can
Yeah.
cut out that 48, 72 hours. You'll see people. I saw this one really cool pizza truck in Britain that is selling par baked Neapolitan pie. So they're firing them in their truck without any toppings on them, right? So they put the sauce and then they put the toppings on it. They vac seal the whole pizza, and then they stock it in a local purveyor, like a like a fresh market or whatever, right? And then they go and pull
Yeah.
that out and they finish it off at home. So I think you're going to start to see more innovation like that, where like, yeah, you've got this home oven, you know, you got the uni or the Gosney or whatever, but maybe we can make it an actually enjoyable experience for you to use that oven, by providing you some of the, you know, taking some of the hard
Yeah.
work out of it, so you're just having fun.
Yeah, again, you're like slowly leaning into this idea that like you're providing actual value and not like some bullshit marketing ploy. Which
Exactly.
unfortunately a lot of CPG they land in one of those buckets. Like either this is all marketing or like this is actually like a thing that people use. And they're not gonna make it themselves. Like it's not
No.
happening.
Yeah.
By the way, that's how I feel about espresso as well. Like I just like
Yeah.
people are always just like, why are coffee shops so big? It's like, dude, they're providing this experience combined with like good espresso drinks. And I don't know if you've tried to make a good espresso drink at your house, but it's
It's fucking hard. Nope. It's not
yeah,
easy.
eventually I was like, it's not even fun. This is
Yeah.
just
It's not worth it.
stupid.
Yeah. Unless you are a
Anyways,
true coffee nerd and
yeah.
that's like your hobby. And I think about that with pizza too. Like if you're a true pizza nerd, you'll like that 72-hour process to make your dough.
That's my point. Like
Yeah.
of course there's someone that's going to make a latte for themselves at home that is amazing. And there's someone that's going to make, well, you are that guy. And you
Yeah,
have
literally.
that pizza at your house. Um, but like, yeah, it's not going to happen for everybody.
Yeah, and
You know
that's
what I mean?
okay.
Yeah. I'm going to share my thoughts on what I'm doing different this year, and then we'll close.
Please do. Yeah.
This is one piece of advice I want everyone to listen to, because I've thought about this a lot. Everyone who's followed my journey here on LinkedIn, listened to the podcast somewhere else, you probably heard I made a lot of changes in my life. And I had a little midlife crisis March, April. I actually called Daniel on a walk in like the middle of the night
I remember.
to talk about it back in the spring, where I was just like, am I doing things wrong? Like I feel like I could change shit and it feels so obvious and it's like right in front of me. I executed on that plan that I had kind of pitched to you. Things went well, other things didn't go so well. Some things went according to plan, some things didn't go according to plan. But the one thing that I changed, it all boils down to just one tiny little change in my life. I realized that if you're a bootstrapping entrepreneur like myself, you have two options. You can either raise money, which may or may not be a good thing, but what it will do is it'll lock you into expectations and it will definitely cause you to have to act a certain way. And you lose a lot of freedom doing that. I became an entrepreneur, and really Megan became an entrepreneur because she wanted freedom. One thing me and you talk about all the time, Daniel, is like we have free time. That's kind of cool. I'm free in the middle of the day to do this podcast. It's amazing. Um, and the changes that I made over the last 10 months were basically let's get rid of all the working capital junk. Let's get rid of all of the need to raise money. Let's pause the growth, and let's focus on ways you can make money without spending money. And it sounds counterintuitive because it's very hard to do, especially with a consumer brand or consumer product. What can No Baked do? I can sell franchises. And I realized because we already had, and again, not everyone could do this. We had already paid for the legal, already paid for the ops manual. I've been doing it for about 10 years. I was able to reactivate franchising without spending a lot of money. Really just had to pay for an audit from a company that's done audits for No Baked before for our crowdfunding round. So we already had kind of like a built-in audience of like our email lists and all of the people, and we were able to like kind of jumpstart franchising. I say this to say to all of the entrepreneurs out there, I get the question a lot of like, how am I supposed to like dig my way out of this hole that I'm in? You have to access capital, but the way that you access it can be different. So like if I run a consumer brand and I'm constantly chasing things that cause me to have to raise money because I have to pay for slotting fees, inventory runs, uh, spoilage, all kinds of other logistics deductions, low margins because the retailers are putting pressure on me, low margins because of tariffs, like a lot of overhead because that's a ton of work to do for very little money. You're constantly putting yourself in this place where like you have to come up with the resources in order to make the thing work. At a certain point, that is what you have to do as a consumer brand. There are different ways to get going. They include like D2C and what I'm doing with franchising and like a million other things that you could do to make money without having to have this giant bankroll behind you. You know, like if I wanted like if you I guess to boil it down, the most capital intensive business out there is to buy real estate. asset heavy. You have to have money to do it. You cannot do real estate without money. Don't buy their course. You can sell courses. Don't do that. But on the flip side, you have other things that are like pure service businesses where you provide a service like a consulting service and then like someone pays you. Like those are two ends of the spectrum. And like the less money you have, the less resources you need to move toward the consulting end of the spectrum. I I don't know how that works for everybody's business, but I think like more people should think about it really heavily because I wanted to find a way where we could get out of the trap of constantly being like we're broke, and it was due to growth and it was due to extreme working capital needs. And the minute that I got rid of those and just kind of flipped the script, it just changed everything for us. Anyways, everything I focus on from here on out until I have tons of money will be working capital light things. Um, there's other ways to like get around like the working capital piece, but and you need it, no matter what kind of business you're running. But like, dude, I just had this thing where it's like, doesn't the Costco PO sound so good?
Right.
And it's like, yeah, it does until you see the price of making the PO,
Right.
and then you
And
see
your
the
margin's like
terms in which they're going to pay
3%,
you.
5%. Yeah. Yeah. Your margins razor thin, single digits.
Yeah, and
Dude,
that's
that's
how the
huge.
entire like business works. Anyways, small piece of advice for everyone. It's the only
Yeah.
thing I'm doing differently this year, and like kind of
I like
did
it.
sort of differently last year, but now I'm committed to it. I'm
It's
committed
your
to this
own
idea.
version of work smarter, not harder, but it's like it's more rubber meets the road kind of application of that.
Yeah, and it's going to be different for everyone's business, right? Like we run food businesses where it's very easy to just like send the franchising licensing thing. You're like, okay, that's what makes sense for us. Sweet, awesome. On the flip side of that, your business may not be set up for that sort of thing, but like I don't know. You just have to
Right.
think through like what is it that I am doing that allows me to make more money and is that
Right.
scalable? And if it's capital that you need, I'm here to tell you that unless you raise VC dollars, it's not scalable because you have to have money.
You have to find higher return on effort activities if you can't raise or you don't want to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of where I was at.
I like it.
Anyways,
It's
that is
good.
all, folks. This has been a good solo episode that we did on the fly.
Yeah.
Hopefully, no more guests cancel on us. We will
Yeah.
be doing a solo episode, by the way, with everybody, with Hank once a month to do this same sort of
Yes.
thing. So you'll get to hear
Yeah.
us talk about all kinds of stupid shit.
Yep.
All right. See you guys later.
Peace.